Welcome to Earful of Dirt, bringing you the latest Major League Rugby news, views, and abuse. Now here are your hosts, Aaron, Dan, and Victor.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Earful of Dirt. Good evening. This is Victor Perez speaking with my producer, Corey Munson, who hopefully you'll be able to hear. There we go.
Hey, Victor.
How are we doing, Corey?
Oh, I'm doing great tonight. How are you?
Well, thank you. Once again, good evening to you as well. So, guys, as you could tell, Corey and I are Daniel and Aaron less. Unfortunately, both those gentlemen were busy with life stuff, and since Corey and I are the guys that are in a rugby podcast that never play rugby, and I guess we got nothing better to do with our lives, here we are. So there we go.
That's about it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So Victor, what we got coming up on the show tonight?
Beautiful. Well, guys, you got to excuse me because I need to do the rundown, and I'm not used to that. I usually it's Aaron's job. So in tonight's broadcast, we're going to be talking first of all the Utah Combine that just happened this past Saturday. Lots of juicy details regarding that. Speaking of combines, we're also going to be mentioning about the upcoming combine for Glendale Raptors coming this following Saturday. On top of that, of course, the usual signings as we usually do. We'll briefly mention an interview that we had this past week as well. Stay tuned, of course, on those details. And besides that, obviously, views, news, and reviews as we usually do. The tweet of the week. And unfortunately, no questions today. So we're not going to be mentioning any questions, but hopefully by next week.
Bob's sleeping on the job. I'm not sure what's up with that. So no questions from Bob this week.
He was probably in the combine because remember, he is from Utah.
That's true. It's very possible he was busy. So, I want to kick us off, if you don't mind, Victor, and let's go up to Seattle for a minute. And the Seawolves have added a member to their advisory board, and that's John Clavin. Now, John is the current chairman of USA Rugby's Referee and Laws Committee. He is well known for both of his expertise in the application of the laws of the game and regulations of rugby, and for displaying incredible passion in the art of rugby refereeing. So this guy is pretty much a rock star as far as rules and regs go for USA Rugby. And I think it's also one of the clearest examples of perhaps a burgeoning relationship between MLR and USA Rugby, even though nothing can be official at this time just because of ongoing litigation between USA Rugby and that other league, which we won't mention the name of here. So it's interesting, though, that he would come on in an advisory position, and I think it speaks to the professionalism once again of the league and what we're trying to build here. So I don't know. What do you think of this one?
Well, what I think is the fact that it's just great that we have in the current chairman of the USA Rugby Referees and Law Committee now as an advisor to a team in MLR, which again, hopefully that would build a bridge, if it hasn't been built already, between the national governing body and Major League Rugby, because again, like you said, litigation with this other entity, which, if I'm not mistaken, the contract that is signed with USA Rugby, I think finishes either this month. I think it's might be in November when it's over. So I guess by then we'll hear something of that. Interesting enough, Mr. Clavin is originally from Dublin, Ireland, from Leinster province, one of the 4 provinces of Ireland, and he's been refereeing since the 70s, so he's been around for a while. He went to the legendary Blackrock College, which is, by the way, the college where a gentleman with the name of Alan McGinty used to be the headmaster or principal. You may know him as the father of current USA Eagle, Mr. Alan McGinty Jr., also known as AJ McGinty. Some of you may know he's one of my favorite players in the Eagles. And if you know me, you know that my USA Rugby jersey has Mr. McGinty's name and number 10 as a fly half in the back of it. So, and also the fact that I'm familiar with his girlfriend, which, by the way, hello to to Sam. She was really cool, by the way. You probably heard me talk about her and her mom, who are both Colombian. My Colombian lady dating an Irish guy. Beautiful kids, I'm sure, once they have them. So, so in any case, again, um, best of luck, obviously, to Mr. Clavin in this new venture with the Seawolves.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's very exciting. Now, I know you'd also done some poking around and got some information out of the Utah Warriors Combine that they had here. Was it last weekend or the weekend before last?
It was actually this past Saturday, the 28th. They had it at their location, and obviously in the state of Utah. If I'm not mistaken, that I think outside of Salt Lake City, if not in Salt Lake City. But in any case, apparently, according to the Warriors Facebook page, they had over one. Well, yeah, was it? Yeah, about or over 100 athletes, which is great. And they got together in the Recreation Athletic Complex, which is in Salt Lake City. Go check it. Now, there were quite a number of players from Brigham Young University, BYU, as well as University of Utah, and some of the recognizable faces that people mentioned that were present were both Josh and Jared Weepy. You may know Josh because he was with the USA Selects down in Uruguay, in Montevideo, for the America's Pacific Challenge, who also just got put in the November test that's coming up now with Germany. They also had a gentleman named Chad Goff, Matthew Jensen, of course, current Eagle, one of the locks, which I was really surprised that I didn't saw his name in this past list that USA Rugby gave us, again, for the Germany test. They also have Havea Unufe, who I'm not really sure if is related to Maka Unufe, current USA Eagles seventh player. They also had a guy named Paul, I believe his last name is pronounced Lasique. I want to say it sounds Islander to me. Usually those are phonetic last names like in Spanish. So again, and and also to the pictures that I saw of the combine, seemed really fun. Definitely a lot of movement going on, which is great. I'm just waiting to see who gets signed from this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the combines situation it's been really a positive, bright spot for MLR. I think it's a great opportunity to kind of start seeing what the teams are looking for, what they're going to be made up of, and as well as highlighting some of the real talent that we have in this country, maybe some of the hidden talent, some of the hidden gems. So it's been really exciting to see this process. And I know when we started out with MLR, a lot of folks were asking about the possibility of doing a draft or something like that, and I don't think we've ruled that out, but I think right now most of the teams are really looking to the combines and individual signings to kind of fill out that roster, at least initially, probably for the first season here. So, good stuff coming out of Utah. Related to that, as I understand it, Glendale is also having a combine coming up this Sunday at Infinity Park. From what I was reading, I was doing a little reading up on this afternoon. It's interesting. It's not just for the Raptors, so it's not just for their MLR side, but it's actually for all of the it sounds like all the men's teams, all the club teams out of Glendale. So they both the Merlins and the Raptors coaches from both programs will be on hand checking people out, kind of going through drills and seeing what folks are made of. To me, I think that's a really good thing because the Raptors, the Merlins program, really, I think, being one of the most well-established programs in MLR, certainly, they have a direct path. They have a system set up that allows players to move up the ranks. So you can start out as, a lower D-level Merlin player and have a direct path, assuming you got the chops, straight up to the pro or to the Major League Rugby side of the outfit, which is exciting. And if I were an athlete looking to ply my trade in this industry, I would definitely be looking to opportunities like this, even if it meant, spending a couple of years in a lower level club to kind of work my way in. Plus, it's a chance for some of these younger guys to get the experience. It's almost like a farm team program in baseball, what you see, where you have, the lower leagues, minor leagues, and then you work your way up. And I think so. That's one really unique thing that Glendale's offering. That's very exciting, I think, especially for younger players. I don't know. Well, what's your thoughts on this one?
Now, what I personally like is, and I'm actually looking straight at the website, and it says, and I quote, coaches from all men's divisions, so that's Elite, Division One, and U20s, will be available to gauge players' athleticism and abilities. So meaning, even if you go, and let's say, for example, you're trying to push for the Raptors elite team, if you cannot, let's say, make that team, you will go down, let's say, one tier to Division One. And if you are under 20, it's possible that you go straight to the U20s team, which, by the way, I've seen them play a couple of games with universities, and those kids are, wow, out of this world, in all honesty. So, and again, going back with your analogy with baseball, Corey, so you could say this is almost like, let's say, uh, like let's say double A and triple A, and then going straight to the major leagues when it comes to, again, U20s, Division One, and Elite. So if you really think about it, you could have a young player coming straight, let's say, from the Colorado State University, let's say for CSU, going straight to U20s, and then that player transitioning into the U20s program, Division One, and then eventually full on, full grown, let's say, a Raptor Elite player, which is really promising, I have to say, because you get that player in square one, and by the time that player's already in square three or square four, let's say, for example, in the MLR side, that player has already gone through the whole, let's say, farming system, if you may. Again, going back with baseball. So again, personally, think it's quite cool. Also, going back to the website, I'm looking at that no application is required. However, all athletes must register and have to pay a $40 fee, and with that includes a teacher as well as a food that they're going to eat during the tryout. Again, really cool. $40 section is not that bad, all things considered, and I'm sure you get to keep the shirt. And again, even if you don't make it, at least that will be a cool souvenir, if you may, of that. So again, overall, great stuff happening down there.
Now, see, I'm kind of hoping the shirt actually is printed on there. It says Glendale Raptors. I went all the way to the Raptors Combine, and all I got was this stupid T-shirt. That'd be great.
That would be great if you really think about it. It's not that bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to be interesting as the league develops and as we see where MLR goes. If they follow more of the baseball style, where you do have lower level teams that feed directly into a pro level, elite level program, or if they're looking at a draft system more like what pro football does in the U.S., where you actually are looking for college kids coming straight out and going straight to the big league. So I don't know. I think, that's one of the things the league will probably naturally develop over time. They'll just figure out what works best for them. So
that's exactly right. Whether it's a football style or soccer style type of type of combine, or have big players like that. Yeah.
Speaking of, one of the things we're doing right now is signing a bunch of players. So I know you're going to tell us about some Austin players, but I'm going to go ahead and take us back up to Washington State for just a second here and talk about the Seawolves bringing in George Barton. We got another Canadian coming down to ply his trade in the USA. He is from Duncan, British Columbia. And he is coming to Seattle after playing 2 years in the France Top 14 program, ASM Clermont-Ferrand Rugby Club. Barton has distinguished himself as one of Canada's top prospects and a 2-year member of the U20s national team. So he really made a name for himself up there. And I have no doubt that in between seasons with the Seawolves, he'll probably be taking some time and getting some caps for the Canadian national team as well. So pretty exciting stuff out of Seattle. What are you hearing as far as goings on down in Texas there?
Well, today actually we got quite lucky. AR gave us 3 players for the week, and today we actually got 2 signings, which is really rare that they do 2 signings back to back. So going in order, the first one that we had was Mr. Zach Mizell, who's a wing, and he is a native from Texas, coming straight from a town called Keller. And Mitzel, excuse me, is mostly known as a USA Eagles sevens player, and also the fact that he played for the Ohio Aviators, coming out of that other league, which will remain nameless. And he's been playing the game of rugby union since the age of 11, and he was featured in the sevens team in 2013. Now, before going up to Ohio, he played for the Austin Blacks, where he returned afterwards. Now, currently, he's a head coach of the University of Texas men's team, and, well, he's going back to 15, so really happy that he's able to remain in his home state to do all this. Now, he also was with the Quins when he joined Arkansas State University as well. That's back in January 2011. He also got a couple of honors, All-American honors, specifically 7-15s, which again led to his election, that I said before, with the Eagle Sevens. So that's one down. Second one that we got was, and again, that was today, and then the other one I'll mention after this one, it was a guy named Sonny Taylor, another wing, coming straight from Honolulu, Hawaii. Now, Sonny started playing in his home state of Hawaii with the Titans Rugby Club, and he eventually transitioned into the Hawaii Harlequins, which is actually probably the team in Hawaii that I know the most. He then went to the International Rugby Academy of New Zealand, and he played for the Wellington Axemen, who, by the way, happens to be the second oldest rugby union club in the country. He recently played for the USA Islanders when they play against Saracens and Bermuda in that destruction of a game. I forgot the score, but I know it was in the 70s. I think 70-3 or 0. So it was ridiculous. But in any case, he's coming straight, by the way, from the Austin Huns. Obviously, congratulations to him for becoming an elite. And finally, and we just got this gentleman just a few hours ago, and hopefully I got his name right. I believe his name is pronounced Newt. Because, I mean, if it's anything like the word knife that has a K and you don't pronounce it, I assume it's Newt. So Newt O'Donnell, he's a scrum half. He comes from the state of Indiana, specifically the town of, let me see, Osceola, there we go, where he began playing out of Penn High School. He then went to Davenport University, played for the Panthers, which is the name of the athletics team. He then went to play for the Austin Blacks, just like Mr. Missile did in 2015, and he just played this past summer for the Calgary Rams, coming out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So again, 3 really cool signings coming again to the elite again, and 2 of them coming from the Austin Blacks, 1 of them coming straight from the Hunts. So again, Corey, things are looking really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like Austin's making some moves, making some of those big signings. So especially excited to see what Zach's going to bring to the program. He's got a lot of experience. It's an exciting signing. So, and I think we need to give a shout out to Grant Cole down there with This is Texas Rugby. He's kept our Reddit page up to date with a lot of these signings out of Austin. So thanks, Grant. And if you happen to be listening, or if you check out the podcast later, tell us how to pronounce Newt's name. If it's Newt or Canute, just let us know. Don't need to take a knife to that one. So
I like that one.
Yeah, that's terrible. Okay, so looking ahead to the news section, it looks like we also have some other stuff coming out of Austin. So what are you hearing?
So this past week, the Austin Elite Rugby will host the first ever men's 15s All Star Championship coming up next June. It's going to be an invitational event organized by the NSCR, the National Small College Rugby Organization. Excuse me, NSCRO. Almost right out there, to highlight the best players from small institutions. Now, the tournament will be held at AER's new stadium in June 22nd to the 24th and will include not only the All-Star matches, but also an MLR match with Austin and an yet to be announced opponent. So this personally I like quite a lot because you're going to have these college players playing throughout this 3 days, and then they're also going to get to see an MLR match if they haven't seen one already. So you got the fact that I'm sure people from Austin Elite and other teams will probably going to go down and check out that tournament and scout the players from these colleges, as well as you're going to have the players looking at the elite playing this other team, and they're probably going to say to themselves, you know what, this looks really cool. I guess I could do this professionally. And if they cannot make it with the elite, I'm sure they could probably find something with that yet to be announced opponent. So win-win situation really for both the players from these colleges and the MLR teams.
Absolutely, and I think this again speaks to that community building that MLR has been committed to the entire time. You know, they want to get local kids involved, get really raise the visibility of the game. So very excited to see this. I think this is going to be a fantastic way to bring in, like you say, younger players and give them a chance to see elite professional level rugby being played in the States, which, you know, we haven't seen a lot of in this country. There's also an announcement out of Austin about a technology signing or agreement, I guess. They've signed with Mac Lloyd. Mac Lloyd will provide GPS trackers for their athletes, and so basically that's part of their training regimen. So when they're, you know, working out or when they're running, it allows staff to kind of keep track of how much they're doing, when they're doing it, and what their metabolic responses are to that physical activity. So, you know, once again, just a little news nugget out of there that's really proving that this is a professional, legitimate organization. This isn't just a bunch of guys getting together in a hot room working out. There's some real data driven improvements they're working towards. So very excited to see that going on for Austin Elite Rugby.
That's exactly right. And actually, when I posted this news to our Instagram page, and Mike Lloyd, as soon as I saw it, immediately started to follow us. So thank you for the follow. Mike Lloyd, by the way, comes from France. The name may throw you off, obviously, but actually it's a French company. And I was checking their website, and Mike Lloyd, if you're listening to this, don't be offended, but that English doesn't look good. I'll be honest with you. So if you could get a native English speaker to translate the page from French to English, that'll be great, because unfortunately the translation, not really good. I'll be honest with you.
How's your French, Victor? Are you volunteering to help him out?
Well, guys, I think I made it very clear on this podcast that je ne parle français, and you probably know how much I hate the Francais language. So yeah. So I think I made it very clear my opinions on the French language.
But if they need a Spanish language page, you're all over it.
Well, French to Spanish, I don't know. That's the thing. If it's not in English already, I mean, I could translate from the English to Spanish. I definitely have no problem with that.
So, so we got a little bit of news out of the Sabercats camp as well. So they've been taken to the airwaves a little bit, promoting their team. Is that what's going on?
Yes, that's exactly right. Actually, just today, as I was checking out our Reddit page, again, if you really don't know, keep in mind, guys, says r-ml rugby. We're checking that today. And as I was scrolling through the messages, I saw something very interesting. Apparently, the Houston Sabercats are putting some of their posts, are putting information of the team out there, and specifically on the radio waves. And there were two, th- I guess two spots, radio spots that they put, one in English and one in Spanish. I'm actually trying to find where is it that I saw that today. I think it was in this one, because I did heard them both. Let me double check real quick. Yes, exactly. This is one. And yeah, I liked the spots, especially the first one, the English one. Now I listened to the Spanish one, and some of you that follow the Reddit page probably already saw in my comment. By the way, my username is Interfere1, and I'm gonna put a little bit of a rant because when I heard it, the gentleman who again who's talking, who I want to guess is either Cuban or Puerto Rican. One of those. I got one of those two accents. I'm not sure. He sounds great. Pronunciation, everything's good. The only thing I personally did not like was the fact that there's a section in the spot that says Houston rugby has landed in English. Okay, when you listen to the Spanish, it keeps that one. It doesn't translate it to, like, say, Houston rugby aterrizado, which is the Spanish for landed. I understand the joke because they said it's like the whole Houston, we got a problem type of thing with the whole. I understand. I understand this reference, but the fact that they didn't bother to translate that makes no sense because I mean, what's the point of making it in one language if you want to keep a little bit of it in another? Because I do know there are people in Houston that are not proficient in the English language, who obviously would not understand what that is. So I think that's too that person as a Spanish speaker annoys me, and for the fact that I follow the Spanish language scene of the game of rugby in both Latin America and Spain, is the fact that in Latin America, rugby really is mostly played in South America. And if you follow international rugby, you do know that the main power in America's rugby, when I mean America's, I talk about the continent as a whole, is Argentina.
Yep.
If you're a Spanish speaker, of course, you know the Argentinians have a very interesting way of speaking. Okay, Argentinians speak like an Italian speaking Spanish, and the reasoning as to why is because of the great population of people of Italian ancestry that live in Argentina. Because the Italians moved to the country mostly in the 1850s and 1860s, because the Argentinian government was trying to get all these Italians to move into the country for them to work during their summer, which in Italy is a winter, and when it's winter in Argentina, they will go back to Italy and back and forth, and some of them will stay. And well, the accent really came from that. I wouldn't be able to tell you how the accent was before the Italians, but I'm sure it wasn't that different, like, let's say, Chile's accent or Paraguay's accent, because Uruguayans speak just like Argentinians anyway. Well, in any case, the game of rugby entered the country through the British, the English specifically, that were working in the railroad business in Argentina. And their way of pronouncing the word rugby is with an English accent. Instead of saying, like, for example, I as a Dominican would say rugby. That's my pronunciation. But no, they would say rugby. Like, again, they'd say everything in Spanish and then pronounce that word as rugby, which to my ears annoys me. Why don't you just say rugby? Because that's what everyone else in the Spanish-speaking world says. People in Spain pronounce it the right way, rugby, which everyone else should do as well. So this guy in the spot does the same thing, which annoys me to no end, but that's just me, of course. But besides that, again, spot was cool.
Absolutely. And for those listening to the podcast version of the show, we will go ahead and insert that. So if you'll bear with me, right now we'd like to play the radio spot for the Houston SaberCats. And when you're listening to the podcast, that's where it will go. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and, for our live broadcast here, we'll go ahead and move on to the tweet of the week. I can't believe we've already made it to the tweet of the week, man. I guess we just don't have... Apparently, there's at least half an hour of Aaron just talking in most of our podcasts.
My goodness. Incredible. It's already like, what, 30 minutes? So I guess the 30 minutes is just him and Dan or whoever we get talking.
Yep, exactly. We're just killing it here. So,
Man,
Aaron, if you're checking this out, Dan, Aaron, this is how it's done, guys. Seriously, in, out, got this. So, tweet of the week. We got a tweet from Rocky Osborne, who's the wife of Richard Osborne. And she gave a shout out and said, "Hey, Earful of Dirt," tagged us in a post. "Just listen to the podcast. Great job building excitement for MLR. Keep up the good work. Hashtag rugby, hashtag Austin Elite Rugby, hashtag MLR." So this is I think, a little selfish of us to do this, but we kind of wanted to give ourselves a pat on the back. And yeah, just thank you, Rocky, so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And, that is why we're here. We are excited about MLR. We call ourselves a fan cast because we're fans first, and we're podcasters like 10th. There's a lot of things in between other things that we are. So thanks so much, Rocky. We really appreciate the shout out. Hashtag rugby, hashtag Austin Elite, hashtag MLR. So we're hashtagging it up. Like Victor said at the top of the show, we didn't have any questions from Bob or anybody else this week. So I guess I'll just take this opportunity to kind of give a plug real quick for our Reddit page. Again, that's reddit.com/r/mlrugby. And each week we try to put up a thread. And actually, that's part of our problem is we didn't put a questions from Bob thread up there this week. So maybe that's why we didn't have any questions. Generally, we try to put up a thread that says, "Hey, ask us questions." But even if you don't see that, you can always instant message us. You can call the 800 number that Victor is about to read off to you, or send us an email at earfulofdirt@gmail.com. So we're accessible. We're easy to get a hold of. Find us on Twitter. Find us on Facebook. Ask us questions any place you want. Ask us about anything you like. You want dating advice? We can handle that. You want to know what you should have for supper this week? I've got some great ideas about that. I'm a big roast beef fan, for instance. Just throwing that out there. Roast beef's good.
I agree.
Yeah. So ask us questions, whether your name's Bob or not. We're listening. So that's about all I've got. Victor, you got anything for us on the way out today?
Yes, actually. Something I posted on our social media accounts was that today, October the 30th, marks 144 years since the birth of legendary All Blacks captain Mr. Dave Gallagher, a gentleman born in Northern Ireland who grew up as a child in New Zealand and became the captain of the first original All Blacks team, which is referred to as the original All Blacks. Now, real quick, so these guys toured the Northern Hemisphere from 1905 to 1906, and they played 35 games, okay? Out of 35 games, they won 34. So they only lost one game. And they scored 976 points. Keep in mind, back in those days, a try was 3 points and conversion was 2. So these guys were killing it, needless to say. Now, Mr. Gallagher was born in 1873, passed away in 1917 during World War I. He unfortunately died because he suffered an injury through shrapnel. He died a couple of days after that injury. And interesting enough, he's actually buried in Belgium, of all places. So again, a little bit of history there for you.
That's really, really interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, you can check that out on our social media outlets. And Victor, what are those?
Well, let's see. Well, let's start with the one that we're doing right now. Of course, YouTube. That will be Earful of Dirt Fancast. Please, guys, of course, make sure to subscribe to us and follow this whenever possible. Of course, we all got our other accounts, such as our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. Again, and that's of course all of them as Earful of Dirt. Of course, make sure to add us on Instagram, yes, but make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Player FM, And again, leave us that elusive review that we're still waiting for. My goodness. So again, 5 stars, guys. We're just waiting for that one. Please, just be the first one. Like, we're begging you up to this point. And of course, make sure to also call us at our phone number, of course, so you can leave us a voicemail. And that's 1-720-600-2679. Once again, that's 720-600-2679. And again, make sure to leave us a voicemail. Keep in mind that we do this live streams at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time. So basically, if you're in between, if you're Central or Mountain time, you already know how it goes. And that's going to be, well, guys, today's a really short show. Again, you blame Daniel and mostly Aaron for that, really, for how short this thing is going to be. So we'll see you next week, hopefully with the whole band together, giving you an hour worth of content. And of course, again, Victor's the name. That's Corey, signing off. Have a good night.
Connect with Earful of Dirt anytime. We're on Facebook and Twitter as Earful of Dirt. You can email us at earfulofdirt@gmail.com or call and leave us a voicemail at 720-600-2679. Until next time, for Aaron, Dan, and Victor, I'm Corey. Thanks for joining us.